Welcome to Fear Babes Podcast, a paranormal podcast founded and hosted by Fear fan members.
All thoughts and opinions are strictly our own, and we are not affiliated with any shows in any way.
My name is Burgundy.
My name is Madeline.
And we are
the Fear Babes.
Good, merry, happy morning. Christmas, New Year's, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you like to celebrate. I hope you're having a great time. Sick.
Welcome to Fear Babes, where we are obviously babes, but we also burp, which makes us hotter, so.
I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
Dude, that would be freaking awesome, you know?
We're babes, but we also burp, which makes us hotter. That's what gets us famous and rich. That t-shirt right there.
Hopefully. Shit.
One in every color, please. That's all I start wearing. Like every day. That's just all you wear.
Every day.
Just it's like color for the different days of the week.
People ask, they're like, where's this from? And it's like, from me.
Yeah.
I said
did that.
Oh, God.
Yours truly takes a bow.
Exactly that. So, welcome to where we talk about... What are we talking about?
Okay. Welcome back to Fear Babes Podcast. Today we're talking more about the pickle priest. Let's go. So,
all right.
This man has the most beautiful eyes.
I was taking a sip of coffee and almost choked.
I could give you better things to choke on.
Like the pickle priest's pickle, lickle.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because he says it like that. He's like, I bless this pickle.
Lol. And then sometimes, like 2 seconds later, he goes, lol.
Yeah. And like, he is attractive, to be honest.
Are you thinking about blessing his pickle?
Mm-hmm. He's definitely our type. Am I wrong?
I don't know what that means. I don't really even know what that means. Because every person I get, like, semi-interested in, they all are entirely different.
It's true.
I think the personalities are similar, so probably personality-wise I have a type, but, like, looks-wise, they're all so different.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's similar personalities, I think. Yeah. Like, you gotta be able to, like, tell jokes, right? You gotta be able to, like, cackle. You gotta be able to, like...
burp in front of them.
Yeah, that's happening, like, straight from the jump. No. I had nothing.
You gotta be able, like, for me personally, it's like, because I'm an asshole, right? Like, actually.
Me too.
And so, if I throw that at you and you just deal with it, points. You get points for that shit.
That's me falling to my knees and blessing, like, God. Or, like, you know. Mm-hmm. No, not. We're not going there.
Totally different directions. I thought I was going somewhere specific, and then you took it right back the, like, 160, totally opposite direction.
I told you.
I was like, whoa, whiplash. Anyways.
Yeah, because, like, it's like, oh my God, thank gosh. Like, I can be mean and you're just going to be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Then it's like, whoa, that's hot.
It just depends on how you handle it. Because, like, if you let me be a dick to you, yeah.
But it's not
I'm
like...
I'm going to keep doing it, though, so that's the problem.
But it's not, like, aggressive dick. It's like...
No, I'm just going to call you out and see, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You get the same treatment as everybody else. You're not special.
Actually, I'll probably be more of a dick to you than I am to other people because I'm usually generally pretty nice, but, like, in all reality, I don't know. It sounds bad, but it's kind of like I'm testing you a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wonder how many people would say I'm generally pretty nice and, like, if they would be able to, like, agree with that statement for us.
Nobody answer that question.
Nobody answer it.
I don't want to hear a fucking thing about it.
Yeah.
Nobody talk to me.
On that note, we are discussing the Chillingham Castle episode of Project Fear.
Can I just say the name is super fitting?
It's very fitting. At first, when they said it, I was like, did they say Chillingham? Because at first I thought it was like Killingham Castle. But then they were like, Chillingham. I'm like, ew, you're Chillingham?
Either way, the name would be fitting.
Yeah, yeah.
Way to take it super literal, though. You're chilling ham
You're
at
Chillingham?
Christmas time? Why would you do such a thing?
It needs to be fucking baked, homie.
Yeah, with the pineapple and everything, man.
Like me and my cousins right before Christmas dinner. Do you know that?
Oh, I was like, wait, what? It took a second.
You go for the special cousin walk.
You're like, hey,
Lies.
I haven't seen you in like 4 years. You want to go hang outside out for a second? Like, let's go for a walk.
It's so funny because like I don't have like any cousins that are even around my age. It's so funny.
You're talking to your 15-year-old cousins. You're like, hey,
No, no,
bring the stuff with you.
More like 50-year-old cousins.
Oh
Hey,
my
do
god.
you want to come hang out?
Did you bring the stuff with you? Either way, it still works.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. It works, homie. I can assure you.
So funny. 50-year-old cousins. Shit.
Dude, yeah, man. So this episode, it was a little disturbing.
Okay, before we get totally into this though, of just like full disclosure, I am half prepared, half not. And what I mean by that is I watched the first part last week just to watch, because usually we watch and take notes. And I
Yeah.
never really get to like truly enjoy them. I mean, I never let myself truly enjoy them because like
Yeah.
that's the one and only time I watch, and then never again. So uh, sometimes I rewatch with my parents, but that hasn't happened in a long time. So I watched the first one last weekend, and just to watch, just to like truly watch it, no notes, nothing, because I was like, yeah, I'll watch it again later this week to take notes. Well, I didn't. So because I went to Denver for work, and I was there until Thursday, but I just didn't rewatch the episode nor take notes on it. So the first episode, we're pulling straight from my noggin from about a week ago, and maybe I'll remember shit when you start talking about it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. And then I just watched the second episode like literally an hour ago. So I haven't even processed it yet.
Dude, I'm actually kind of proud of myself because I watched both episodes yesterday. I traveled, so I'm presently in the mountains. Who's surprised? No one.
Mountains.
So, first of all, like, nobody really talks about how quick a week goes when you're just like busy or preparing or, just like doing your normal shit for the holidays. Like, I was out like all week getting like last minute gifts, wrapping gifts, planning like our week next week because we're having a party on Monday. Then it's Christmas Eve. Then it's Christmas Day. Like we were like planning all of our meals. That shit takes time. Okay. And then, we have dogs that are like toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody talks about that really either. Like my dog is literally a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
But like she bites really hard. Apparently toddlers do too. I wouldn't know. But she bites when not me necessarily, but if she needs something, she will. That does not sell her on being a good puppy. She is a great puppy.
Dude, I'm telling you, everybody, I'm a firm believer that people should get a cat or a dog before they have kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they have their own personalities and Duchess tells me what to do. I know that if she bites, like, and by bite I mean like nibble me, she's telling me she needs to go outside, right?
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, you're like, she tells me what to do. I'm like, sounds like you gotta set some boundaries, homie.
Dude, okay,
She's
so like
bossy.
she is bossy, but like she is gaining weight. Like actually, I know that when we had talked to like Tanner back in like February, I was like, yeah, Duchess is a little chunky around the edges, but
A fucking year ago.
she's just fucking thick. But now she's like actually chunky because she keeps barking at me for treats and she won't stop harassing me until she gets a treat. And I don't always give in. Listen, I'm not a giving in kind of parent.
Just 98% of the time, right?
Well, I mean, I tell her, I'm like, no, you don't need a treat. You're too chunky. And then she gets mad and she stomps off. And then she'll come back and she's like, ruh, 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 ruh. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, all of this over a tree? It's ridiculous. Long story short, that's how my week has been. So the fact that I was able to knock out both episodes yesterday, I'm super proud, especially since the first episode was like an hour and a half almost.
I'm gonna say, to be fair, if somebody told me I was too chunky, I couldn't have a treat either, I'd probably be pissed too.
Yeah, she's chunky.
It's okay. She's thick too. But
Yeah.
Anne's getting old, so I think her metabolism slowed down
Yeah.
because
But
she's
see,
Anne.
like, Duchess is a very, very active dog. Like, I can hardly ever get her to sit down. So that's another thing too as to why, like, if you're thinking about having a child and you don't have experience with pets, maybe you should, because
I might listen.
sometimes sometimes you get pets that are like pretty well, and then other times like you get pets that are a little bit more defiant than others. Sierra says that Duchess is my soul dog and I met my match, and I agree with her
Hmm.
because she's very defiant.
Hmm. I was gonna say, like, not only that too, but like you have to, like, sometimes they have accidents and they go potty in the house or they throw
Yeah.
up on your floor, and then
Yep.
you clean that up only for them to turn around and throw up 5 feet from the first one.
Yep. And sometimes, like, if you have dogs with, like, that have fur closer to their butts, even if you get them groomed regularly or whatever, sometimes they get accidents and it's in their fur and you have to clean it.
Wipe them down, yep. And then, they bring weird shit in from outside, and
Yep.
the vacuuming and all the vacuuming, and yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta feed them and water them and make sure they're happy and healthy and
Yep.
all the good stuff. Teaches you responsibilities, so
Yeah. It's a lot. And 2 is a lot too,
yeah.
because I've been watching Jade a lot these past couple weeks, and having her and Duchess is like 2 toddlers
Sometimes I'm like,
because it's
get
just bad.
another, I said. It'll be fun, I said.
It's actually worse.
I'm like, Annie needs a friend. She needs one. Lo and behold, here comes Dees.
Spinning 17 times in the middle of a note-taking episode.
Dude, he spins a lot. See, but Diesel's like, he's like, because you're like, Duchess, she talks a lot. Diesel's
Mhm.
like mute almost. Like, the only time he barks is if he thinks there's like threat outside. That's the only time.
That's
Like,
true.
usually the only time Diesel barks is what you hear on the podcast. Any
Yeah.
other time, he's dead quiet.
It's
Like,
true. It's
and
true.
I've tried to teach him to speak because Annie speaks, right? When I tell her to. I've tried to teach Dees that, and he just won't do it. Like, he'll like move his mouth like he's gonna make a sound, but he won't. Like, he just goes like chomps his teeth together.
That's so
I'm like,
sweet.
Dees, speak, and he just stares at me and like wags the tip of his tail.
A
I'm like, all
wee
right.
little baby. Time to knock this shit out. What do you say? Oh, shit.
What?
I forgot to mark my favorite moment and favorite evidence. Fuck.
Most of mine's coming from episode 2 because I just watched it and I can make shit up. You're gonna be shocked. Are you ready to be shocked?
Yes.
I took my notes on my phone.
Wow. It's a
I
lot
don't like.
easier.
No, I don't like this. Because when I'm writing them, I do certain things in the style, like how I'm
Mhm.
writing them. So, like, I do headers. Like, I'll be like, Dakota with the ovulus. And then I'll, like, do an indent, right? And, like,
Yeah.
write the whole thing that happens. And then I'll put stars next to certain shit and whatnot. And, like, little. And I can't really do that. Like, in my notes, it all just looks the same,
Yeah.
on my phone. So I'm like, poopy. Okay, anyways, so go ahead. You start. You tell us your favorite moment.
So my favorite moment is kind of morbid.
Sick.
And I think you know where I'm going with this because it was like the most morbid part of
Ugh.
the first episode and the second as well, I guess. But the first episode is, when it was discovered. So obviously everybody split up. Chelsea, Tanner, and Connor were in the Great Hall just checking it out. try to see what they could catch evidence wise. And Alex and Dakota went up, went down to the dungeon. And first of all, that dungeon is very, very small, like incomprehensibly small. And while they were down there, Alex decided that he was going to take a GoPro and a digital recorder and put it in the original torture room, which that within itself, I have thoughts about that, but that is where they found human remains in a box. And I say that that's my favorite moment because it was very like it offers this perspective of reality, like these places that they're going to in the UK and of course in like the US as well, they more than likely have a lot of human remains on the property. So it was interesting to see that, but the way that it was like stored was like so icky to
Yeah.
me. But the way that it looked, it made me think that like obviously Alex had disclosed that they had not like the owner had not supposedly been down there in like decades, but that box looks so new. I think that they have been doing excavations, but what do I know? I'm sure that that's just a few of very many human remains. It was just very fascinating to me. Like, as a person who enjoys history and archaeology and stuff like that, I thought it was really cool. That's why it was my favorite moment.
Kind of for like the same reason, it's almost like my favorite evidence in a way, but it's
Mhm.
like a physical evidence type of thing, you know.
Right, right.
So that one will be mine for that. But to get back into like the thing where you're like, I have thoughts. I'm like, first of all, I wonder if the owner sees this and feels disrespected. Um,
Yep, that was my first thought that I made a note in there. I was like, this is like, it's a cool idea, I guess, but like when you're told to specifically like it's blocked off for a reason and then you're gonna go against their wishes, like
yeah,
but
like,
who knows, like maybe he got permission from the owner prior and he
and
was
he
like,
just didn't see that part,
right, like maybe but again, like I also almost feel like he would have said that,
right?
you know? Like he would have disclosed, "Hey, yeah, we got the owner's permission," and he didn't. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't know.
Second, second, I'm like, you're messing with some weird shit here, guys. Like, I really hope you don't have any, I guess we'll say consequences because of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like these places are just so rich and dark. Like the fact that the castle itself is so old that it was existing like during the first portion of the Wars of the Roses that, you know, went on for centuries afterwards. And Edward the First was involved. That just shows just how old it is. So like not ancient of course, but it's very very old. There are so many different types of energies that envelop a place like that. Think of how many hundreds if not thousands of people walk through the very walls that you're in. How many people touch those walls? The residual energy within the great hall that people discussed. That's kind of stuff is very fascinating to me. And that's why I lean more towards like more particularly English history. I don't know what it is that's so fascinating about it to me, but just like thinking of all those people that existed, you could almost feel all of their energy. You can almost see them sitting at those tables and like having these feasts and having these like discussions at like over candlelight. Like it's so cool to me, but just to also like in contrast to that, it's also so freaking terrifying to think about. Like while all that kind of stuff was happening, the people that were shoved into the dungeon, that were being tortured in the torture room, like at the exact same time. So there's just so many different types of energies within these walls, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's
Sorry,
crazy.
I got off on my little tangent, but It's why I was so excited about the UK portion of Project Fear because I love seeing stuff like this. I love hearing the history.
Right.
And when I heard Wars of the Roses, I like perked up because that's my era of history that I'm super, super fascinated with.
Hmm.
So it was really cool. But anyway, enough about me. What was your favorite moment?
So this one it seems so freaking like in comparison it seems weird, but Connor when he went to his sleeping arrangement and he was like, "You never know with this group if you're gonna get a light, so super thankful that I have a flashlight." I just thought it was funny because I was like, "That's I mean that's a real concern actually with that group of people."
It's so true,
Connor just
honestly.
keeping it real with us.
Connor is like my favorite investigator because he truly is an amateur, even
Yeah.
though like he's been a part of Project Fear and Destination Fear. He's always been in the post production process for the most part. Like he'll also go and travel with the crew, but he's never done much of like the overnight kind of thing.
Right.
So when he goes there, it's so real. Like the way that he talks to the camera when he's alone, it shows like his anxious energy because he doesn't do this all the time.
I know. Well, and I
But
love how
he's
he's always like, I'm definitely gonna get scared." Like,
yeah, yeah. And he's so freaking like effortlessly funny
I know. He's my
because
favorite.
he just says shit that makes you go like, "Yo, you good?" Like
I know. I love when they throw Connor in because it gives that different perspective because you have these seasoned explorers,
right.
all four of them, and then here comes Connor who's done this like three times. It's just the contrast is so I just love it.
It's
So,
great.
what was your favorite evidence then?
Okay. So my favorite evidence is also from episode 1 when Alex and Connor were in the Great Hall and they were doing a spirit box session, okay?
Mhm.
And this is like a mini series of events, but I feel like I have to disclose it all in order to like, express the concept as a whole.
Mhm.
But every time that they would cover the speaker like on the spirit box to ask a question or whatever, the spirits would say something. Eventually, they got something out of them without, like, the speaker being covered because Connor had asked the question, "Can you confirm this is Eleanor?" And "I am here" came through.
Mhm.
Alex said, "Can you say your name?" Eleanor came through clear as day. And Alex said, "When did you die?" And it said, "In the evening," which is so eerie. But
Mhm.
of course they like had the intention of hopefully speaking to Eleanor, and the fact that she came through was super crazy.
Right.
Yeah, that had to be my favorite evidence. What about you?
Well, mine was the box of bones.
Oh, true, true, true.
So honorable mentions, yay!
Here we go. Yay.
Woo! Okay, so I don't really remember much of part one. Is what I'm discovering. Um,
So I will say, like, in comparison to like the other episodes, there wasn't a lot of like I was able to actually take notes without it
stopping,
being like,
pausing.
yeah, yeah. So
With okay,
really,
let's start with the elephant in the room. The
Alex being an
handcuffs.
asshole.
Yeah, the handcuffs
Yeah.
and
Um
the eye mask and the audio enhancer and the music box.
yeah. Okay, so first of all, I do want to say that when Alex said this, he was like, this is only like a couple minutes into the episode as well, right? So first he comes in and says, Connor's also going to be a part of the overnight. Come on, Connor. You have no choice. Get over here, buddy.
I was like,
Stay here.
woohoo! Connor!
And Connor's like, yo, what?
He's like, actually, fuck this. Like,
like actually. And then Alex literally made the comment that he was going to pay homage to the torturer by making either Dakota or Tanner be entirely alone in the newer torture room. Obviously, not the other one because it's closed off, the original.
mhm.
And of course, as you said, the blindfold, the handcuffs, and everything else that was involved in that.
Alex is like, let me handcuff you to a chair. He's like, wait, that's not good enough. Let me also blindfold you.
Yeah.
Hold on. That's not good enough. Let me also put the audio enhancer on your fucking ears. But wait, there's more. If you purchase now for $19.99, you can also have a music box.
And it's like, dude, this is awful, man. Honestly, after that, whatever Tanner and Dakota end up doing, it's going to be completely valid. And with,
I mean, to be fair, at least Dakota probably has earned it at this point.
yeah, but also at the same time, like, jokes aside, I
What the
feel
fuck?
like Dakota also, like, he does have some semblance of a boundary. Like, yeah, he'll be like, all right, Chelsea, go in the dungeon. But it's more of like, he's not doing it to be harmful to them. It's more so to be like, this is your punishment. You have to do this alone. But like, Alex is like, no, I'm going all out. Like, you're going to be tortured like these people were. I mean, not to the same extent, of course, but it's like, dude, why? Why would you do that? Like, it would be one thing to just kind of like handcuff to where they have like a free hand, but not having a free hand at all. That's scary.
Well, the
Okay.
fact that he put it on as tight as he did, though,
He put it on super tight.
like on Tanner's poor wrists, with
Yeah.
the marks afterwards.
It was
I also
not
want to know
good.
what happens if you have to pee.
Well, what happens
Just
if you
piss
need
yourself, like.
Well, see, here's my thought because I don't do good in situations like that where I don't have a free hand if I'm in a place where like I worry about not being able to contact someone or et
Start
cetera, et
screaming.
cetera,
I would just
yada
start
yada.
screaming, dude, at the top of my lungs. Except you
Well,
have the audio enhancer on, so you're gonna make your eardrums bleed.
exactly. But not just that, but like I think Dakota is an excellent representation of how I think I would feel because Dakota doesn't do well in situations like that. And I don't think that it's fair to push him to his limit to that extent, you know? Like Tanner, of course, like I'm not saying Tanner deserves it, but he does do a lot better
Yeah.
outwardly.
But I mean, you
Um
have to remember too. Like a couple episodes ago, Alex was like, "I'm being affected," and Dax like, "Let's keep testing this." Like,
yeah, but also like it kind of like it wasn't to the same extent, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
He had free will, he could have left the room.
mm-hmm,
If he truthfully wanted to,
yeah,
he could have been like, "Okay, I'm going to leave the room because you're not respecting my boundaries." But Alex didn't give him or like Dakota or Dakota.
Dakota.
He didn't give Dakota or Tanner a chance
I
to
mean,
say, you
that we
know,
know of.
yeah, that we
I
know
mean,
of.
they could have all had like who knows, maybe they have a safe word. Like if it gets too intense, they really like have an out of some kind.
But
Like I really hope that that's the case. But
how would they even know? Like I'm
you'd have to
hoping
scream again. You just goes back to you have to start fucking screaming. Like
true. I do wonder if maybe they had like a rule where it's like, okay, every X amount of time we'll come in there. But at the same time, knowing them, I'm sure that didn't happen.
well, yeah, you'd get like I mean, you'd probably get like sidetracked and shit, right? Like you're having a
Yeah.
really intense spirit box session. You think you're watching the clock.
No. But also, like, I wouldn't even put them in that position.
Yeah, because you're not an asshole.
Yeah. Like, I mean, okay, so the idea wasn't like awful. Everybody else has been in handcuffs, even Connor.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, let's put them in handcuffs. And that's torture. I mean,
We've
to,
also had people sitting alone with blindfolds on before.
yep. So, but what's not fair is that Tanner also seems to get like the brunt of the stick, right? Like him and Chelsea recently, it used to be Alex and Chelsea, remember?
Mhm.
But him and Chelsea recently have really gotten the bad stuff.
Mhm.
All of that to say is I don't support Alex in that endeavor, and I did not think it was funny at all for Dakota or Tanner. But there was one funny part um that did make me LOL is that, you know, Alex disclosed he's like, okay, Chelsea's safe, Connor's safe, I'm safe, but Tanner and Dakota are not. And when he told, them that Tanner won the poll to
Mhm.
be subjected to this, Dakota was like, yes, 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 this is the best night ever. Yes. And then
A
later
couple
on,
hours
Alex was
later.
like, he was like, all right, buddy, your turn.
It's all you, homie.
And he was so upset. He was so upset. And I mean, rightfully so, because I was trying to find exactly what he had said. All I know is that when Dakota was tied up, he was so up. Like made a comment like, um, I wanted to use the exact quote, but in a nutshell, he was like, "This isn't right. Like I wasn't even supposed to be here."
Right.
But that was that's an honorable mention for obvious reasons.
And this concludes this episode of Fear Babe. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, bye. Deuces.
Dun 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 dun.
Um, let's talk about Alex in the dungeon with the candlestick. I'm just kidding.
Hmm.
uh, but no, when he was in the dungeon and he had the ovulus out, and it kept saying. Originally, it said glance in ours, and then it kept saying down in glance.
That's right.
And
Yes.
then when he
Yeah.
finally does look down, he can see the box of bones.
Yeah, uh that was creepy.
I was like, what the fuck? Gross. Gross.
It was
Gross.
disgusting.
What would you do if you were in that scenario?
Um, leave it alone.
I mean, I don't. I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know. I feel like watching it on the screen was just like, whoa, what the fuck? But like, if I actually saw that, I would have the heebie-jeebies for sure.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
There's just like an element of like, for me personally, like for me morally speaking, like obviously you didn't have anything to do with them being there, but it's like it feels disrespectful, you know.
It does to like show it, you mean?
Well, and like even if I was just there and I was like this was somebody, so at one point this was a life.
Yeah,
And this
exactly.
is their fate, you know, like they weren't even put to rest, and now you can like actually see like the remains of them. Like it's just weird, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say like there was someone I have enjoyed like reading Reddit
I haven't looked for this episode.
to some extent, but someone had made a comment um on their Reddit page about the messy ethics of finding ancient human remains.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the person that was talking about it. They were just, explaining how they were just disturbed about the remains being in a box and how they should be removed to be examined by authorities.
That's
And
another question. Is like why the guy
why
who
is it
owned the
still there?
place? Yeah, like he sealed off the original torture chamber because of what he found down there. Like, why wouldn't you? Why do you just leave it? Like,
But to play like devil's advocate to some extent here is like kind of what I said earlier. Like, what if he had just recently decided that, okay, fine. Like, I've come to terms with what's down there. I'm ready to now get into it and maybe properly excavate and exhume these remains or whatever. You don't know. I mean, that's how I am as a person. I obviously can't speak for someone I don't know because of how new the box looked.
Hmm.
It looked like someone had been down there recently, but obviously, you don't know.
Yeah,
With
but they
it
said
being
like he's owned it for like decades. So.
right. And with it being down there, like I think in my mind, some people could, say, well, the box itself, it looks that way because nobody's been down there in X amount of years. But you have to keep in mind as well, this is in like underground. There is probably dampness, et cetera, et cetera. So who knows, like there would still be some sort of like deterioration, I feel like, of the box itself, I
Mhm.
think. I don't know necessarily like how well it is like closed off, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking. Obviously, I don't know, but
Right.
you know, but yeah,
There's just so many question marks around that whole topic. It's like,
so
what
many,
the fuck? Like,
so many.
wild. Um,
So aside from like the torture, the remains, um, I did enjoy kind of like backtracking just a tad. Um, when they were using, let's see, when Dakota and Chelsea were in Edward the First room in episode 1, um, Dakota asked the question through the PS device. By the way, they were using the PS device. Dakota said, "Do one of you want to make yourselves known?" And then, "Please help and save" came through. And Dakota said, "Are we talking to an adult or a child? We want to help you." The name Johnny came through, which Dakota explained that that could mean John Sage.
mhm.
I thought that that was interesting because, like, with stuff like that, I just feel like that just isn't a coincidence.
Right.
Um, I understand how PS devices, Ovuluses, and the what was the Envoy work,
Yeah.
but there's just no way that that's a coincidence. You
Right.
know?
Well, later on too, when Chelsea was, I think, in the pink room, it said Johnny again. So.
Yep. That was repeated throughout the night, I believe, like in different aspects.
Mhm.
Um Also when after, like Alex and Connor had that conversation with Eleanor in the Great Hall, they headed over to the chapel. This is still in episode 1. And Alex asked if she, meaning Eleanor, was here, and "I am home" came through on the spirit box. Um Connor also asked, "Can you tell us more about you?" And a male voice came through and said "murder," just like super abruptly. They were
Murder.
communicating with this female the entire time, and then suddenly a male voice just comes through and just like bombards it. It's like, the fuck, dude? Are you kidding?
Murder.
And that happened pretty consistently as well. Like when it came to like the spirit box, they would hear female voices and then like there would be a male voice. So that stayed pretty consistent throughout the night, and that kind of points to like the John Sage guy kind of being like, even in the afterlife, like, "I'm still torturing these people to the extent of I'm not going to let them talk, you know?
Right. Mhm.
Um, let's see. Let's see.
There was a whole lot of not wanting to interact through the devices happening, and at least
Yeah,
it's in episode 2. But I thought it was interesting because it seemed like this place had a lot of unexplained noises, though.
it did. It
It
did. And
was like it's kind of like the spirits were like, "Hey, I'm here, but I can't talk to you."
yeah. And I think that it may have something to do with the John Sage guy for sure,
Right.
like what we were just talking about. I think that, you know, for whatever reason, he just is such a dark, spirited spirit.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it truly is. And I was, like, really, like, disturbed by, also in the second episode when Dakota was hearing animal noises when he
The
was
barking.
yeah. Yeah, and then Alex heard it too.
The same thing, yeah.
Mhm. Which I don't know the location of it necessarily, like, but they said that people have heard that. So, I mean, like, dogs I think it was Dakota that said that dogs would come in there and, like, eat the bodies or something.
Yeah, and then Alex had said that there's been claims where people would hear the sounds of dogs barking and the crunching bones. And then hold on a second, see if I can re-find it in my notes. Like he said that, and then the ovulus said something right afterwards. I can't remember what it was. Where'd it go? Tanner, Connor, Chelsea, Dak. What the fuck? It was later than this. I know it was. Okay.
One of the funny things about, like, us taking notes is that we'll remember things from the episodes.
And you
Like, this
can't
is just
find
an
it in your
insight.
notes.
Yeah, this is such an insight into Fear Babes is that, like, we'll take the notes and then it's like you remember writing it down and where it should be, but for whatever reason, it's just not
You
there.
can't find it. Yeah, Alex, so he heard the barking too. So I don't know if him and Dak heard it at the same time, but it is interesting they both heard it. And then he said that, like I said, he that's one of the claims there. And then that's when the ovulus again was like down, glance.
Yeah,
And then that's when he found out he could see the bones from where he was sitting.
which is crazy. Ugh.
Yeah, that was wild. And then also like Tanner getting touched in the chapel.
Yeah.
That's weird. And then multiple people kept mentioning that they kept getting like cold. Like the air was getting cold around them.
Yeah. Which actually, like, it was in the second episode as well. Um, Dakota had said that he was like, "Yo, I feel like someone's standing right in front of me." And then he's like, "Oh my gosh, it just got, like, super cold." I think that's what he said, if I'm
And
not
then the
mistaken.
music box.
Uh-huh. And then the
Yep.
music box went off after he
Mhm.
said that. So that
Mhm.
I mean, you know, I just feel like that just stays consistent with what he was feeling.
Mhm.
Because there are people out there that, paranormal skeptics or people who are just overly skeptical of everything like certain people do. It's like, you can't make that up.
Right.
Like, his feet were nowhere near the music box.
I know he kept trying to kick it too. He's like it's
Yeah.
over here somewhere. Couldn't quite reach. Um Also Connor and Tanner checking out that door and then remembering that it was open previously.
Yeah, that was creepy.
I was like, bro, who the fuck closed the door? Like,
I also thought it was really weird that, quite a few of them kept hearing movement above them.
yeah. And then they kept talking too. They had no access to what was above them.
Yeah.
So if they didn't have access, probably nobody else could either.
Mm-mm.
So,
Super creepy.
dun dun dun.
I wonder what's up there.
Bodies, ghosts,
Maybe.
your hopes and dreams.
Something that is yeah, true. Something that's consistent with like castles and stuff is they used to like bury bodies in the walls.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies. I'm sorry, I had to. I was like, every time we say bodies, that's what comes to my
Me
mind.
too, me too. You just
Have you
went with
seen?
your impulse.
Have you seen that video? I think it's on TikTok. There's like a parrot that like sings that song.
I think so. I think I
I
have
think
seen that.
I think it's a white parrot, and it's like let the bodies hit the floor. It's so funny.
That's
Anyways,
so funny.
sorry. I'm like every time we bring it up, every time we say bodies, I'm like,
Yeah, let the bodies hit the floor.
Okay, I got sidetracked. What were we actually talking about?
Um, bodies being in the walls of
Oh,
castles.
that's or in
Yeah.
boxes in torture rooms that are sealed off in
Mhm.
castles. So that too.
I think what's really creepy is that, like, when I bet people are like, "This is so morbid," but this is why we're called the Fear Babes, as nothing I mean, it's partially a play on Project Fear, but it's mostly the fact that we're into, like, you know, the paranormal and everything that comes with
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
But something that's so fascinating about, like, archaeology and when they exhume bodies is that sometimes they'll find them exactly as they lay, so they'll be, like, in a certain position from when their body was just thrown into a hole.
Yeah.
That's so disturbing, right?
Yeah. Or like the Pompeii people that like got ran over by lava,
Yeah, and now they're, like,
like hugging each other and stuff.
now they're encased in, like I think that that's so cool.
I know.
It's so
Sad.
fascinating.
Sad too though. Um back to the because you were talking about the fear babes and the name thing too though. It's also
Mhm.
like kind of good the way we set it up because if we ever do stop talking about Project Fear, we can still continue with paranormal aspects and not have to rebrand so hard, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I definitely agree with that 100%.
just a little
Well, did you
thing
have
that we thought of.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it truly is multifunctional.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point, you know? Gotta think ahead on these things.
Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really stood out before we got into, um
I do want to talk real fast about Chelsea's brief PS device communication because
oh,
again,
yeah.
like not a lot of stuff wanted to really talk. Like, how many times did people get the word bye or goodbye? But um, Chelsea was trying to get like any spirit to communicate with her, and um, the walkie went off, kind of like glitched a little bit. And then she was like, "Can you use the device in my hand to communicate?" And it said, "Sure." And then she's like, "Can you tell me who you are?" And it said, "Anna."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then she's like, "You can go wherever you want to go. You don't have to stay here." And it said, "Mama."
Yeah, wasn't
This
that
was
creepy?
after, yeah, this was after she had gotten little girl earlier on, too. So those two things connect, obviously.
Yeah.
But that was eerie for sure.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's
I
so,
know.
so sad.
I know. It hurts your
Like,
heart a
what
little
do
bit.
children do to deserve that?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They haven't even had a chance yet, you know?
Yeah, it's awful.
Would some of them grow up to end up deserving it? Probably not, because nobody actually deserves to be tortured.
Yeah, exactly.
But nobody, the kids that they didn't even have a chance, you know?
But more specifically, like, in that time, like, if you stole something and, like, let's say that you're a peasant on the street, okay? Not saying that I necessarily agree with stealing, but back then it was every man for themselves. You had to live a certain way. Like, you couldn't talk bad about the king or you would risk being, caught for treason and hung or your head chopped off or etc., whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a peasant and you're like starving, you have no money and you steal like a piece of bread, you were caught for it, your hand would be chopped off.
Yeah.
Like, in what universe is that deserved?
That's wild. No, no, no universe is
You
that
know?
deserved.
And what's funny is that, like, not funny, haha, but funny, ironic,
Mm-hmm.
is that, like, these kings and queens, they lived in these palaces that, you know, they were able to be comfortable in. They were feasting every night, like, and yet you're gonna chop off the hand of someone who you've never experienced what they've experienced. It's just awful to think about. Like, those times, as fascinating as it is to me, they were just so difficult to live in. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't die from a sickness that's as simple as an ear infection first, you could die just for saying, "Oh, the king, he's kind of weird." And then next thing you know, "She's a witch." And then you die.
You're like, but no, bro, he actually is fucking weird. Like, have you looked at him? Have you seen him? Like, have you been around it? No, I'm just kidding. Did you? Did you?
I pulled my mic.
Ah! What the
Can you hear
fuck?
me?
Barely.
What the fudge?
Mads' recording will continue on a new track.
What the fuck? Let me exit out and come back. Jeez.
Na 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 do 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 do. All by myself. Now I'm all by myself.
Bro, I freaking hate when I do that.
How exactly do you do that? Is the real
Well,
question.
right now I'm sitting on a bed. So now it's time for us to discuss fan comments from the episode. I guess I shall go first. Or Bergie,
Okay.
do you want to go first?
I can. Okay. So, on Instagram, Michaela Putty, she said, oh, Jesus, I can't grab my phone. Hold on. Okay. She said, OMG, definitely when Dakota and Alex literally found bones in the haunted torture room. That was insane to me, especially since that had to be more than one body.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree. That was fucking wild.
It was crazy. On Twitter, we got a comment from Allison Pineda, and she said, they were definitely incredible episodes. However, I still have chills when Dakota and Alex found the box of human remains in the torture chamber. That will never leave my mind. So it seems like
Yeah,
most
I was
people
gonna
were
say.
like us,
Yeah.
fascinated with what they found. It truly is just so chilling. I
Yeah. Wild.
I cannot. Um, it's really disturbing, but I hope that the owner of the location does properly um, handle the remains and, will take them where they need to go in order to respectfully rebury them
Right.
or, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I think that concludes the Chillingham episode
Cool. So on that
and
note,
the
it is.
UK.
I'm going to do a shameless plea here. um,
Okay.
because it's almost Christmas. 'Tis the season for giving, after all, right? So I don't know if you've noticed, Mads, but our numbers are going down. Like,
They are. Yeah.
so our numbers are going down. So I'm just asking, for please more support. Like, can you support us the way you're supporting Project Fear? Maybe, like,
Right.
comment, share, word of mouth. If you have friends that are interested in this stuff, let them know about our podcast. Um, anything helps, right? Anything helps at all. We've been busting butt to try to make this happen for you guys, and that's all. I'm just, can you, like, comment, subscribe, let us know your thoughts, give us feedback, share the podcast out to friends and family. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
Please.
Please.
Please, please, please.
Don't prove I'm right.
On that note,
I mean, I don't know. It's a weird topic, but I'm just, because it's December 21st. I was like, please, may I ask for a little like for Christmas, please? That's all. That's all I want. Thank you.
please,
Thanks.
please,
Like it, share it, comment it on it. Comment what the word? Okay, I'm done. Fuck it. Whatever. That's it. That's all. Goodbye.
Goodbye. I love you, people.
We love you.
Mwah! May we